Hi, this is Darren with the American Made First podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have Bobby Griggs with Heritage Steel, episode 7. They make some really great, high quality stainless steel clad cookware out of Clarksville, Tennessee. And he has a really awesome tip as to how to cook better, how to make things taste better with stainless steel cookware. You're going to want to hear it. So tune in and enjoy the episode with Bobby Griggs, Heritage Steel. Hello, this is Darren with the American Made First podcast. Welcome to episode 8. And our guest today is Bobby Griggs with Heritage Steel out of Tennessee. Bobby, welcome and thank you for making time to chat with us today. How are you doing?
Good, Darren. Thanks for having us, and excited to chat with you this afternoon. So I
So,
appreciate you reaching
Darren,
out.
tell us about Heritage Steel, the
Yeah,
history of the company, and your role with the company.
yeah. Thanks. I'm vice president of Heritage Steel and one of the partners. We are a multi-clad stainless steel cookware manufacturer in Clarksville, Tennessee. Our history actually dates back. Actually, to 1874 originally. We were originally a part of the Vollrath Company, which is a really successful commercial cookware and commercial restaurant supply company out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And they manufactured, residential lines of cookware, in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And my business partner, my late business partner, Donald Henn, was their largest client. And in 1981, they made the decision that they were going to exit the residential lines and focus on commercial only. And Donald put in a bid and won it. And he purchased that division from Vollrath and renamed it New Era Inc. or New Era Cookware.
Okay.
And they had a finishing facility in Clarksville, and he converted it to both a production, deep draw, and a finishing facility, and he manufactured cookware, multi-cladded stainless steel, primarily for the in-home sales companies across the United States. And he started that in 1982.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of the start of us. And then I can share with you kind of how we've evolved from there.
Okay. When you say in-home sales, are those the guys that would come to your door and present the cookware and sell it right there in the home?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did. We'd come to your house, and actually, we started out with a horse and buggy even before that, going from town to town when it was part of Allrath, and then it evolved into going to folks' homes and doing what was called a dinner party. And we would make like you know, chicken without any grease or oil, and cook vegetables without water, and bake
Mm.
cakes on top of the stove, and did a big presentation. And you would invite your friends and family over, and that's how we sold cookware for years. And then we started doing fairs and festivals like the state fairs all over the country, and home shows and garden shows and that kind of thing. And then it just continued to evolve over
Mhm.
time, and as the markets evolved and our factory evolved. And then we launched a line of cutlery called Hammerstall in 2008, and that was an imported product, but that kind of led us toward more retail thinking. So in 2014, we launched I guess it started 2015. We launched our first retail line of cookware where we manufactured it for the more traditional retail marketplace. And so that's when we kind of launched what's now known as Heritage Steel.
Okay. Well, I recall I was very young. I don't even know if I was a teenager yet, that a young man came to our house. We lived in mid-north Indiana, out in the middle of out of the sticks, not in the sticks, the cornfields actually. And a young man came to our house and sat down on the picnic table of the back patio and presented all his cookware. And Mom bought a set of cookware, and she still has it. That's been 45 years, I think. And it's still fantastic cookware. She still uses it daily. So,
What's interesting, that's how I got started. And just exactly that. I mean, my parents actually bought the cookware before I graduated high school. And then I answered an ad in the newspaper to sell cookware door to door. And that's how I got involved. But yeah, that's the kind of cookware we manufactured. Very well could have been ours. I still have my mom and dad's cookware that they bought from a young man when I was like in middle school.
huh,
So, I mean, they've had it for over 40 years as well. And we still service all of the cookware that we manufactured, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We still carry all the handles and knobs. So if someone breaks something, we can take care of them.
that's fantastic. Yeah. I've interviewed someone else recently. He makes knives, and he made a statement that we should buy less stuff but what we do buy should be really good quality.
I love
That
that.
made a lot of sense to me.
I love that. I think that's really who we are and why we're like really anti-coatings. So we don't believe in nonstick or ceramic or putting anything on there. And one of the main reasons, besides all the impact to the environment and to health, is that it's crazy for me to buy a product that I know for sure in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be, that you're going to throw away. And
Mm.
why not just invest in something that's good quality, that is an heirloom type product that you're going to be able to use and pass down and get a real value out of over a 30, 40, 50-year period.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about the coatings because I was checking out your website, and you do not sell a nonstick surface.
No.
You mentioned the environment a little bit, but can you expand on that and tell us about the health issues, the health end of things?
Yeah, and we're really cautious about talking about some of the impacts of health with coatings. There's two different types of coatings, primarily when it comes to nonstick. One,
Mhm.
what's called PFAS, that's PFAS, and those are polyfluorocarbonates. And then the other is ceramic. And so the ones that have gotten the most attention for the negative impacts on health are the PFAS materials. And so
Teflon.
there's been a lot of research that shows that there's particulate that shows up in folks' lungs, and that the application process in the manufacturing facilities is really pretty negative to the environment and to the worker. I don't claim to be a scientist for that or an environmentalist, so I'm cautious to share that. But there's a ton of research out there that's pretty negative. In fact, the state of Minnesota has banned the sale of all PFAS on cookware and bakeware items starting in
Wow.
2025, I believe.
Hmm.
And so you can't sell it there now anymore. And I think that's going to be the trend. Now, ceramic doesn't seem to have the same impacts on your health or the environment where it's as caustic to you. But once again, it's the heat is the enemy to nonstick. So when you heat up nonstick pans over time, they become more and more stick, and they increase their coefficient of friction over time.
Okay.
And so you end up throwing them away, or they peel off and they flake into your food. And we don't like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that either. I've had a few nonstick, and you're right, after a year, you start seeing areas where the finish is coming off. Then I get wigged out about plastics entering my body, and I throw it out.
But
So,
you should. You really should be
yeah.
worried about it. So there's some pretty
But I
ugly
do have
stuff
a
out
couple of good,
there.
full steel. I don't know if they're I don't think they're titanium. They're probably stainless steel pans that I use regularly. But I'm kind of drooling over some of your stuff on the website. I'd like to add to my collection. Tell me, you mentioned multi-layer. Tell me about the technology, the multi-layer steel process, or
Yeah, that's a
whatever
great
that may be.
question. Keep bringing that up. So, in general, there's two things you need when it comes to cooking. So, just a real quick kind of overview of what do you need in cookware, and you need a vessel that is stable, or what we would call inert, because ultimately cooking is chemistry. We're adding
Mhm.
heat to acids, fats, salts. So it's a chemical activity every time we, fry an egg or scramble an egg or make a sauce or do a reduction. And so you need what we call a clean beaker. So what you're cooking in, that beaker needs to be clean if you remember seventh grade science class. And
Mhm.
stainless steel is really of a substance to use for cooking. It has the least metallurgical reaction of all the materials out there. So
Mm,
even cast iron, carbon steel, which we're believers in, it's
mhm.
just the cleanest environment, the most stable, inert cooking surface is stainless. The problem with stainless is that it's not great at the second thing you need when you're cooking, which is even heating. We need to be able to move energy from a singular source of heat, which is a burner, and move it through a pan uniformly. So stainless steel doesn't do that very well. But aluminum does an amazing job at that. The problem with aluminum is it's not the best thing to have your food interact with. So
Yeah.
we put stainless, then we put 3 layers of aluminum, and then on top of that, we put another layer of stainless, creating like a sandwich. So that aluminum is protected by the stainless steel, but the aluminum then acts as the heat conductor. And then we take that shape and form it into a vessel and turn it into a pan.
Okay. So how do you bond stainless steel with aluminum? Is that done through a heat process, or is there any danger of those delaminating over time?
Yeah, so that's also really a great question. It's all through pressure bonding. So we use a very specific type of aluminum. It's a tri-plyed aluminum that has 1145 aluminum 3004 in the middle and then 1145. The properties of 1145 really allow through intense pressure. If you can imagine taking like a foot of stainless, a foot of 1145 aluminum, a foot of 3004, a foot of 1145, and another foot of 1810 stainless. And then through pressure going through rollers, kind of if you're making cookie dough, just
Mhm.
getting it thinner and thinner and thinner, we
Mm.
literally press those together, and through that pressure they bond. Certainly they could delaminate. That would be a warranty issue, and we warranty all of our products for a lifetime of use.
Mhm.
But the likelihood of delamination after we've gone through manufacturing is really, really rare at best. One in tens of thousands of units, or maybe even more than that, closer to 50,000 units.
Okay.
That you get delamination. But if that ever happened, we would instantly replace it. But it's really, really rare for that to occur. And so it's all done through pressure, and it works really, really
Huh.
well. And so it's a really smart process. We don't do the bonding. We have another company that does that. It's a really big project. And then they cut them into discs for us, and then we do deep draw forming at our facility. So we put them in a really nice hydraulic press and form it into a shape with tool and die.
Okay. Now, so you're using steel and aluminum, or your two basic materials.
Yes, sir.
Where how do you source your steel and aluminum? How much of that comes from foreign countries? How much, the import and the tariffs, how has that affected you recently?
Yeah, that's a really tough one. Up until 2019, from the 1940s until 2019, we purchased 100% of our raw materials from the United States.
Mm.
In 2019, the largest supplier of multi-cladded material decided to exit the cookware industry. They're a big international multi-conglomerate company that makes all kinds of specialty steel, and they just felt like the cooking industry worldwide wasn't big enough for them to continue that. So they exited. It was like $300 million industry for them, and they
Unbelievable.
exited the industry, and we have been on a hot pursuit since 2019 to find a US supplier, not only myself, but other folks. And there's not one. And
Mm.
so we brought in steel from China. We brought in multi-cladded material from Switzerland. We brought it in from Mexico. We brought it in from North Korea. I mean, not North Korea, South Korea. And over time, we finally settled on South Korea. It has performed exceptionally well. It's performed better than the Switzerland steel that we brought in for a little while. It's way better than the Chinese or the Mexican that we tried. And we've been really, really happy with our supplier. They've been really good to us. Unfortunately,
Good.
the tariffs have had a pretty negative impact on our business. I really do understand the mentality behind what the tariffs are trying to accomplish. I get that. But when you're a US manufacturer and you're trying to compete against Europe and Chinese manufacturers that are doing, completed product and with really a lot less cost than we have, when we pay 50% on that material coming in,
Mm.
and we're fighting to see if we can get it reclassified so that we could pay less tariffs on that. But it's really hit us hard, and it's really put us as a real manufacturer as at a disadvantage. And so it's been challenging
Yeah.
for us. Like, we understand where it's coming from, and we get it, but at the end of the day, like, it's been tough to say the least. And we just don't have a US supplier, and we have searched far and wide to find someone that can make quality cladded material here in the United States, and there's not one right
Sure.
now.
Well, you're not the first business that I've talked to that has answered something similar to that. One other company that I interviewed said, "Believe me, if I could find it here in the United States, I'd be buying it here in the United States." So
Well, we do.
that's a
Like, we're
challenge
curious
to
about that.
other manufacturers. Here's a need, as somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur and start a business, there's a need, and it sounds like a pretty big market
There
to
is. It's
service.
just such a large capital investment to do this pressure bonding in the United States.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we've talked to a lot of people. We did we had an interview with NBC Nightly News and with Fox Radio and Fox Business. And we got some national attention last year over this. And we talked to a ton of potential folks, and none of them really were like, man, we're talking about such a large investment. This is not for us.
Mm.
And I get it. It's just, I really wish we had an audience with someone that could hear our issue and try to help us navigate this, because we are fully committed to manufacturing in the United States. Like, We are absolutely headlong into this. We don't want to source, and we're not going to if we can prevent it. And so, man, if we had some help on that, that would be
Yeah.
remarkable.
Tell me about your the people that work for you, the people that support your business, your workforce and such. How many people do you have involved presently?
We're about 45 employees, and that is really the probably the second biggest joy of what I do is working with our staff. I mean, if you've ever done woodworking, you know that finishing a piece of wood, no matter if it's maple or oak or cedar or whatever it may be, they
Mhm.
never finish the same and always just takes a little bit of nuance to get it to be consistent and the way you want it to be. And metal working is not much different. Finishing metal, stainless steel is very similar that sometimes it takes a little bit more or a little less or tad bit more pressure with an abrasive. And so we really do have a staff that's very akin to being an artisan because they can see how that material is finishing.
Mhm.
Even if we have it on a machine, they have to watch it. It can't be unmanned. It can't be fully automated. And so we have a great staff. They really feel like they're making products for their friends and family and loved ones because they could end up with it. And
Right.
so they take a tremendous, we joke about it and we kind of think it's more of a marketing thing, but it's real. Our staff really takes a lot of pride in what we do and they make exceptionally good cookware. And I couldn't be more proud to work with those folks.
You have long-term employees, people that spend their entire careers there, or what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our last plant manager was with us 43 years. Our
Wow.
office manager just retired. She was there for 38. We've got a gentleman there. It's been 40. I mean, honestly, I started buying from the company in 2002, and kind of invested in 2006. My business partner, Jeff Henn, I mean, his dad started the company and in terms of New Era, and he's
Mhm.
been in cookware his entire life. And now we've got Jeff's son, Don's grandson involved, and Danny and I kind of run day-to-day operations now. And so, yeah, a lot of our staff's been there for 10, 15, 20 years, and that is incredible. And, that's one of the
Yes.
reasons that we want to grow is just to continue that legacy and hopefully we can continue to create great jobs that pay really well and that are really stable for our team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my hot buttons in promoting American made is hearing these stories, hearing about families that are and people that take such pride in their work and spend many, many years, decades doing what they do and perfecting their craft. And, you know, I'll be honest, your pans aren't cheap.
No,
I go
no,
down to
no.
Walmart and buy something a whole lot cheaper. But I know it's not gonna last. But investing in a product like yours, I know it's gonna last me for probably generations, and I'm supporting my fellow countrymen. It gets me excited when I see
That
things
is the
like that.
case, like, we don't wanna make cheap stuff. Now, we wanna create as much value as we can for our customer, and you know what? I love American made, but I love the fact that we're not a big conglomerate too. So, in
Yeah.
two ways, we serve I just said the second biggest thing for me is our staff. The number one is our customer, like and that's not lip service, like, we wanna make exceptionally good cookware that will last an entire lifetime for a family because we build all of our memories around a dinner table. That's where we break bread. That's where we share stories. It's
Mhm.
where we talk about our history and who we are and we raise our children and we shape our families there. And so we want to make exceptionally good cookware that'll last forever. We want to do it in a way that's valuable where they don't not overpaying. They're paying for what they're getting and they're gonna get value out of it.
Mhm.
And then we want to do it in such a way where we can pay our staff well. And that's who we serve. I don't have a large board or shareholders that demand these returns. I mean, our
Right.
returns go to our staff and to our customer. And that's where we want it to really be. And we feel like that's a sustainable model for us.
I wanna back up a little bit because, talk about the product itself. Is there a learning curve? Say, you've been cooking with nonstick pans for years, but you wanna make the change, you wanna commit to, not only healthier living, better for the environment, but a product that you know is supporting your fellow countrymen, but also, a product that you know you'll have for 20, 30 years. Does it change the way you cook? Is there a learning curve involved?
So yeah, there is a difference. It's you and I were raised in the microwave and nonstick world,
Mm,
unfortunately. And us kids that were raised in the late 70s, 80s, and
Yep.
There was a transition from my grandma to my mom where even though mom had stainless steel and she cooked in it and she loved it, and I didn't have the same experience as my friends, everyone else, it was all about speed and cleanup, and we lost how to cook. And so there's really one change that you have to make to learn how to cook in what we call heritage materials. That's multi-cladded stainless, cast iron, and carbon steel.
Mm.
And if you can learn this technique, you'll get better tasting food, you'll get better color, better nutrition, better performance, and more depth of flavor. And here's all you got to learn how to do. You could not heat nonstick empty because there was chemicals. And if those chemicals overheated, it wasn't good for you. So
Okay.
they taught us to put your food in or your fat in before you turn the burner on. And it is right opposite with multi-clad stainless, cast iron, and carbon, which
Huh.
is we need to heat that pan empty. We need to put that pan on medium low, let that come up to temperature. The pan fully expands, closes up all those pores. Then we add cold fat, be it butter or ghee or beef tallow or whatever, grapeseed oil, whatever is of your fancy,
Right.
but we add cold fat to hot pan, and if you do that, you're gonna cook nonstick with everything. It's super easy to clean. It's really easy to manage, and it will last forever. And if you do burn something, I recommend a stainless steel scrubby. It's a coiled scrubby. I'm not talking about an SOS pad. I'm
Hmm.
not talking about chain mill. I'm just talking about a basic stainless steel scrubby. There's lots of them made in the United States. A little bit of water, that with maybe some stainless steel cleanser, and anything will come off of it. I mean, I abuse my cookware. I cook it in all the time and I am harsh on it and it looks amazing. And I've had my parents for over 40 years in mine since I started working here at Heritage Steel. So
Huh.
it'll last you forever.
All right. So that's the big tip.
Yeah,
I think there's maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a bit of a shift back towards cooking well.
there's a
A
huge
lot of the
shift.
people I know and friends of mine and even younger people that I know like to cook, and they like
Yeah.
to spend a little time in the kitchen, and, boy, I lived with a young guy for a little while, and he got a different job and moved on, but every time I walk in the kitchen, I said, "My god, it smells so good in here," and he liked to cook. He was an IT guy. I said, "But if you ever get out of the IT world, you can open a restaurant," but he
Yeah.
was always in there, and he always cooked with the stainless steel pans.
You know what's interesting, Darren, is my son and daughter both are in college right now. My son is in a fraternity house at Tennessee Tech. He's a mechanical engineer. My
Mhm.
daughter is a chemistry major at Ole Miss, and both of them cook probably 4 nights a week in college. And
Wow.
their friends cook, and they're learning how to cook in stainless. And so we've started doing some things to support that. Like I run a program called Lunch and Learn. So
Uh-huh.
I broadcast once a month to all of our customers right from my kitchen, and it's not scripted. We fry eggs or cook chicken or make a pan sauce or whatever, and people can ask questions, they can make fun of me or whatever they want to do, laugh or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And it's a lot of fun, and it's just about educating. And I do think the blessing of COVID is that folks started to cook again, and they really value food in a different way than I think they've ever valued it. And I think that's good for us as a nation. I
Mhm.
really do.
Now, tell us again what it is that you do every week?
I do it once a month. It's called Lunch and Learn, and
Lunch
I
and learn.
typically do it on a Tuesday at noon, and then I record it, and we let our customers watch and our retailers watch, and we do a cooking
Okay.
class for an hour, basically out of my kitchen virtually, and I just whatever hits me for that week. Sometimes we just talk about how to clean up stainless steel. Sometimes we focus on eggs because that seems to be intimidating for folks, or we might
Hmm.
sear a piece of chicken or whatever it may be.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if someone that wasn't a customer or a retailer wanted to tune in, is that a possibility?
We can make that a possibility. We're going to start pushing all of this to our YouTube channel, which is just Heritage Steel, one word.
Okay.
We'll get that out there for you, for
Okay.
those folks, and they can join in that way. And then we'll try to get some broadcasting going here soon. We've talked about that to make it a little bit more accessible. But right now we send out a private link to customers and
Okay.
retailers to
All
join
right.
in. I think we are going to make it much more public so that folks can get in and there and just be educated. I mean, we'd love to have them as our customer, but honestly, if they're cooking and stuff that we're not throwing away, I'm probably just as happy.
Now, I believe there you have a line in your a line of cookware on your website that is I forget who you partnered with, Eater or something
Yep.
like that? to make it a little more affordable to get into that world?
We
What's
did. So we have 2 lines. We have our Eater, which is our brushed series. So we just brush the exterior. It's a matte finish, and that is a faster finishing process. Then we also have, and that is the same 5 layers, except the inside cooking surface with the Eater series or the brush series is your 1810 stainless, which is what everyone else carries, all clad and
okay?
Mason made and etc. And then our titanium series is a little different. It has a polished exterior, so that takes a little bit more man hours to get that exterior beautifully polished up. Looks fantastic. That's easier to clean over a long period of time. But that inside cooking surface is a different type of stainless steel. We use something called 316 Ti. So it's a titanium and molybdenum enhanced stainless steel. And what that does is it really reduces the metallurgical reaction between pan and food. And so it's literally 20 times more resistant to salt corrosion than standard stainless steel.
Oh,
So if you're holistic minded and you're concerned about what your pan and your food are doing with one another when you're preparing food, the titanium series is certainly for you. But the Eater series that you mentioned, 15 to 20% less, going to last the same amount of time, just doesn't have that premium cooking surface. It has the standard that everyone else does.
okay.
We're really proud of that line because we are super price competitive with that, and it allows people to enter stainless steel in a pretty affordable way.
Okay. So regardless of whether you're cooking at home, you're just getting started, you're aspiring to be a chef, or
Yeah.
you are a chef and you're working at a restaurant, you've got a line of cookware that will work well for them.
Yes, sir, we do for
Yeah.
sure. We
Okay.
definitely want to make sure that if you're, I love that term, aspire. If you're an aspirational person, you want to elevate to the next level of your culinary journey personally, be it in a home or in a commercial environment. We have a solution for you, and we're gonna perform really well on your stove and help you kind of elevate that journey for sure.
Well, any craftsman, regardless of what your industry, needs to have good tools to do
Yeah,
what they do. And if you're a chef, if you're cooking, these are your tools.
yeah,
But tell us about where folks can find your say they want to put their hands on it. Now, obviously, you've
yeah,
got a website. You can purchase through your website, which is
yeah.
heritagesteel.u.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yeah.
What if I want to put my hands on these. I want to touch and feel and hold them and that type of thing.
So we're at about 350 independent retailers nationwide. So we sell primarily to independent gourmet retail shops. And
Okay.
on our website, there is a find a local store button that you can click on a link,
Okay.
and you can put in your area code or your zip code, excuse me, and find a local retailer. You can always email us at info@heritagesteel.us if you don't see a store in your area, and we can help you locate someone.
Okay.
Obviously, we're on Amazon as well, but I would encourage you if you can support a local independent retailer, do it or
Yeah.
support our website. We feel like those are the 2 best places that are best for our company and our vision. And we love working with independent retailers because they're small businesses and they are really vested into what lines they carry, and they're vested in invested in their customers. So they want to
Right.
make sure they carry great products and that they serve them well. And that's kind of our mentality with our product line as well.
They are small companies just like you are. So when you
Sure.
buy from them, you're not only supporting the staff at Heritage Steel, but you're supporting the family that runs that local store.
Yes, sir.
It all benefits everyone. This has been good. I really enjoyed this and always happy to hear the stories of American-based companies selling American-made products. And hopefully I can continue to do this for a long time. Is there anything else, anything on your mind that maybe I haven't brought up that you'd like to mention?
No, I mean, one, I just want to thank you for taking an interest
My
in
pleasure.
American manufacturing. I love, I love the fact that we're able to continue to move our economy with technology. But there is, my father was a mechanic, and we talked about having good tools, and we had Snap-on and Matco and Mac, and there is something beautiful about, blue collar work and, creating jobs where folks don't have to go to college, but they can make a really good income and support their family without going to college. And I certainly went to college, and I encourage anyone that wants to go there, but to have those alternatives, I think is really super important. And I
Mm.
think making things, there's a pride that's really cool. And I think we need to do more of that in this country. And I hope people are inspired to make stuff and to supply, not just consume in this country. And I think that's
I
really
agree.
what we need
I
to do.
agree. And not disparaging any professionals whatsoever, but
No.
there is something satisfying, I guess is the word, to
Yeah.
make something and step back and say, I did that. Even as simple as mowing the grass. I still mow my own grass, and I just like to look at what when I'm done and say, that looks great. I did that. But yeah, I think years ago there was such a push for college educated people because they were the minority and they typically made a little more money. But now that's become more of the norm,
Yeah.
and we're lacking in the trades. But now with the technology that's come along, AI being one of them, some of those highly educated people are not needed as much anymore. So, everything ebb and flows, I guess, over time. But before we get away, let me ask you about AI.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, and how has that affected your business?
So we're really excited about AI, honestly, in a way that probably most folks wouldn't think about it. So the way we're using it, obviously you can use it with customer service, and you can try to replace, certain types of activities in your facility with AI. But the way we've
Mhm.
approached it's been a little different. Really need to make more product, and we need to be efficient. So we have some really bright people that work for us, and they've taken all of our data and all of our staff, and we've basically graded out our staff on each of the job functions.
Mhm.
So, like this person is a 5-star at finishing, but they're a 2-star at pressing. And this person's a 5-star at riveting, but maybe they're a 3-star in packaging. And we took all of our different job functions, and then we took our demand and we took our raw material supply, and we built an application, or we're building an application that basically assigns, based on what we need and
Mhm.
where we're heading, assigns our staff to the station for that day, and it monitors performance. It monitors what we need to do to improve output, and it monitors how we're seconds rates. And so it's become a scheduling program for us that puts the right machines on the right tasks with the right personnel at the right time. And it's super smart. And so it really is starting to guide us on how we utilize our team effectively and utilize our raw materials effectively. And I think it's going to really change us as a company and allow us to grow substantially. AI in this scenario will actually allow us to hire more people. It won't replace people
That's
because we'll become
exciting.
more efficient. And then if we become more efficient, then we're more competitive. And the more competitive, there's more demand for product. And
Yeah.
so we're excited about AI.
Now, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're using AI to optimize all of your
Yeah.
resources, including your people, which if you're using them in areas that they're more naturally gifted at, they're going to be more productive. They're going to turn out a better product, and they're going to be happier doing it.
That is exactly the goal. Put them in a scenario where they can win, and as a collective, as a company, we can win and make sure the right machines are running at the right times of day. It's so super smart. So I'm thankful that we got some really bright, and they're young people in our facility that are working really hard on that. And I think it's going to be really impressive once we've got that system fully deployed. We've got it partially deployed right now, but well, I think we'll be fully operational with that system by end of year, which is
Mm.
exciting.
That is exciting because so many times when you bring up AI, people are scared of AI.
Yeah.
When's it going to replace my job type thing? And in your case, you're actually using it to benefit your employees and your customers. So that's very exciting. I'm happy to hear that.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, so let's land this plane, so to say.
All right.
Again, really appreciate your time. HeritageSteel.us is the website. You make some really, really great stainless steel clad. That's the term, right?
Yeah, multi-cladded stainless steel.
Multi-cladded stainless steel cookware.
Yes, sir.
So all of you listeners out there, if you're looking to take a look in your kitchen cupboards and find those nonstick pans and see how they're peeling and know it's not good for you and know it's time to upgrade and replace with something like Heritage Steel products. In the meantime, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I've learned a lot about stainless steel and aluminum. I didn't know there was so much that went into it or that you could do
Yeah.
layers like that. Hope to connect again at some point down the road and get a little update with you. Uh, but Thank you all out there for listening. Please like and subscribe. We are a new podcast, so every subscription, every like, every rating will help us to reach more people and help us to tell the stories of more American-made businesses. And in the meantime, if you're looking to make a purchase, especially a major purchase, please think American-made first.